Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Rent Free with Mackenzie Davis. I am so excited to be back with you guys, and I think that I owe you an apology because I took a 2-week break for New Year's and for Christmas, and I just didn't say anything, which I didn't think about. And then, there's a few thousand people that listen to this every week, and I got a few DMs from you guys that were like, hey, where's the podcast? So I'm sorry that I didn't say anything. I'm honestly really endeared that I got DMs about it. I feel really cool about that. So just wanted to say thank you for even reaching out. That made me feel extra special over the holidays. And I am sorry that I didn't say anything, but I am back to your regularly scheduled programming every Friday. Your episode will be back out at midnight, and you guys will see me and hear me on all streaming platforms. Today's episode is gonna be kind of like a hodgepodge, I think. I honestly don't really have a plan, and I'm gonna fly kind of by the seat of my pants because it's New Year's Eve when I'm recording this, and I have plans later to go to DC and go on a party bus, and I haven't packed yet, and I really need to. And so I wanted to update you guys on my entire life because I feel like a lot has happened since I've last talked with you. And then I wanted to just dive into a lot of the questions that I feel like have been unanswered, the topics more so than the questions, sort of like a mini series in one episode of like flash topics rather than a Q&A, because I don't know that I could do full episodes on each of the topics that I'm planning to talk about. I've acquired a kitten because he was attacking my screen because he saw me moving on it. So that's a perfect segue into Rent Free this week, which here's Boss, a little update on the kitten that we adopted in December. Oh, you want to say kitty meow? You okay? So Boss is now, I want to say, like 14 or 15 weeks old. He's the kindest little boy. He loves to cuddle and he loves to play. His sister, not quite as much. She, I knew, was going to take to him slowly because she's very territorial, just always has been. She's very lovey-dovey too, but she's territorial over her space and doesn't like change, and she's a calico, and calicos are known to be bitchy. By the way, sorry if you hate talking about cats or just hate cats in general, because I have 2 of them and they're my life. So just fast forward through this part. But anyway, my cat Lennox is just, I don't want her to be miserable. And so when I took them to the vet actually told me I'm not allowed to bring them together anymore because Lennox was so bad that they didn't want her to rub off onto Boss. And so they couldn't even do her physical exam. I had to reschedule. They didn't charge me. I had to reschedule her and to come back because she was so pissed. They had those big gloves on. Boss was an angel. Got his little exam and his shots, and he didn't even hiss or get upset or anything. And then we decided to put Lennox on some not anti-anxiety medication, but antidepressants because she has anxiety, just like her mommy does, and that's okay. So she's taking Prozac now. But funny story, just a little side about trying to give her this medication, is that this little boy in my lap, who I don't know if you can see anymore, but I'm petting him, he is a fiend for food. And it is crack up funny to me because if you drop anything, it could be an earring, it could be food, it could be anything. He will be at your feet in 0.2 seconds because he wants to eat it. And what happened the other night was that I tried to give Lennox her medicine for night 2. And I was using a wet treat that came from her advent calendar. And when I opened it, it was pure liquid. And it landed right on her head. And it scared her so bad, it sent her running upstairs. And she started cleaning her head profusely. She was so upset because she's, again, prissy calico cat. So I felt terrible. So I was like, what else could I give her this with? Like, what would she like? So I went and got like a spoon of peanut butter She didn't even care. She did not like the peanut butter. And she's not like, she doesn't really like die for food. Like, she doesn't care really. So I texted my boyfriend who was at his friend's house and I said, hey, I need you to bring out the big guns, which basically means he is like comfortable making her a little uncomfy to like get the medicine in. Not saying like abusive, but just like, you know, if he needs to grab her by like the cat skin that their like moms grabbed them by or something, I can't do that to them. I know it doesn't hurt them, but it's just hard for me to do. So I told him I needed the big guns and he was like, no, she's going to bite me, whatever. So I'm upstairs in bed when he gets home and I hear him go, oh, God damn it. And he was like so mad. And I'm like, oh God, what's happening? So what had happened was that he tried to give Lennox the pill and he dropped it. And remember what I said about Boss is that if you drop anything, he'll go and try to eat it. So Boss took the medication. So we had technically for a day had 2 cats on antidepressants, but that was a few days ago. So anyway, that is how life has been going over here. We got a new hot water heater, which I know I already told you guys about. That was the beginning of December. I felt like was like half that kind of chaos. And then the second half of December was like pure, amazing, fun family, like peaceful chaos. And we had like 4 separate Christmases. We went to a few different Christmas villages. We went to a ton of different restaurants. We saw all of our friends. Like it was a really great time of year. My work had a really great schedule this year. We had a holiday party. We went out to eat with my team. So there were just like a lot of different opportunities for like festive holiday things. I had my college friends come stay and we did all holiday things while they were here, like gingerbread houses and cookies. And then when we went to my grandparents' house, we did our annual bingo game for prizes. We did our family exchange. I went to dinner with my mom on Christmas Eve with Dan too. And so, yeah, that kind of like brings us up to speed. I feel like I haven't been doing much working, which is fine. I think that this week-long period between Christmas and New Year's is exactly for that. It's like, yeah, do the bare minimum and then we'll pick up the projects after the new year because it's like everybody needs this week to reset and just like become the best versions of themselves. I think for the new year, just like give yourself that burnout recovery a little bit so you can start 2025 on a good note. But anywho, I think that that's really all that's been going on in my life. I'm getting excited for my business plan to start like business planning because as you guys know, once 1/1/25 hits, we're off and running for Q1 and that's really exciting. I also have had this like awakening, which I am taking as my cognitive, that's not the word I'm looking for, my frontal lobe developing, because, you know, it doesn't fully develop until you're 25 and I'm turning 24 next month. So I'm like, maybe it's just a little early because I did talk really early. So I'm like, maybe my frontal lobe developed a year early. I don't know. But all of a sudden I'm like, I don't want soda anymore. And energy drinks are bad for me. And I need to be working out more regular. Like I just started having all these like awakenings and no tea, no shade to you if you are doing or drinking any of these things. I literally had a Celsius this morning. Like I'm not judging you at all. I just have started thinking of things a lot more and how they're impacting me and how I want to be healthier and like really take things more seriously and whatnot. And so I have had a lot of time. I also got an Oura ring for Christmas. I'm not wearing it right now because I had to exchange it for a bigger size, but that has really prompted me to like get more into my health too, I think, because I already wear an Apple Watch, but the Oura ring gets way more into it. And then I have like a habit tracker and I have the whole thing on my phone. I updated like all my widgets and everything. I really just have had too much time on my hands is what it is. But anyway, I think that this year is going to be really great for growth. Like I've said in past episodes, that is my goal, is just to grow. And I'm leaving it loose in that way for a reason because I don't want myself to feel restricted in any way. And I don't want myself to feel like I'm letting myself down. I just want to grow and I just want to see where 2025 takes me. Whatever direction that might be, up hopefully. But regardless, I think without further ado, I'm gonna open up my phone and we're gonna go kind of hop around a few different topics that I wanted to broach with you guys and just kind of share my opinions on and give you guys little mini episodes on each, all within this one episode. And if you have any other things you want me to talk about for next time, just let me know and I will absolutely do so. I know that it's kind of hard to think of ideas to talk about in long form just because it's like, what can I talk about for 45 minutes? It's tough. So the first mini topic that we'll be talking about is homeownership and whether or not it's overrated in 2024/2025, like right now. Like if tomorrow you went and bought a house, is it overrated? And I want to be clear that my answer across the board is no. It's never overrated, I don't think. And I'll get into why for sure. And I do think it's a very, very nuanced thing. Like, and I want you guys to remember that with every single thing that you consume on the internet, especially regarding finances and home ownership. It's like, you need to do what is best for you. If you are on the brink of foreclosure or, like the brink of bankruptcy, yeah, I mean, homeownership might not be the best for you in 2025 because you need to fix your credit and maybe save some money first. And that's fine. Like, we can say these things without putting shame on them. Like, we don't have to attach shame to the fact that we have to save money and build our credit. It's just what we have to do in order to buy a house, right? And so that's what our goal is for this year. But I'll be realistic with you in that that's one of the scenarios where I'd suggest, yeah, no, we're going to rent. We're going to rent and we're going to just do that because it wouldn't make sense in this specific scenario. There's a few other scenarios, like if you know you're not going to be in the area for that long, like you have plans to move or you don't know if you're going to move. Maybe your job might keep you here, might not keep you here. Anything like that where it's not really a permanent sort of thing, you might not want to buy a house here because if you don't want to rent it out, which I personally do, so I can't speak for everybody because I'm always like, oh, well, buy it anyway because then you'll just rent it out. Not everybody wants to do that, Mackenzie. So yeah, if you don't want to live there forever, then maybe not buy the house. Again, if you have recently filed bankruptcy, I think it's within 7 years, you can't get a loan for a home. So those are obviously the situations where it wouldn't work out. Other than those reasons that I just mentioned, I don't really understand why home ownership would be overrated. I don't. And yes, I've heard all the reasons. Like I've seen and I've experienced. I mean, like I told you guys, my freaking hot water heater just broke and I had to pay $2,000 to fix it. So yeah, that would have been nice if a landlord would have covered that. But what else about that is that, okay, that just increased the value of my home. If, that happened with my landlord, he might turn around and say, now I owe him more in rent, which means I'm paying more towards the 100% interest that I'm paying him already. And I'm never seeing a dime of that money again. Whereas when I sell this house or when I rent this house out, I'm getting that money. I'm getting equity in this property and I can use that equity down the line or I can get that in cash when I sell the property. So it's like really, yes, in the moment, it's great that you don't have to pay $2,000 to fix your hot water heater. And I understand that that's an inconvenience to most. And I can see why if you're 20 and you're like, you don't want to adult yet. Like, yeah, renting, there's another reason why maybe you want to rent. You're not ready for that responsibility yet, sure. But if you're talking about like your wealth, your finances, your investing, and what's going to be best for you long term, that's where I'm like, well, but that doesn't make much sense. And I'm trying to think of other things that I've heard too about renting. I mean, it's always about the landlord and having people fix stuff and it not being your problem and all of that stuff. And of course, there's really extreme situations to everything where like the foundation falls off and it's not your fault or your problem to fix because it's a rental. Of course, that would be great if it was a rental in that situation. But it's really just like more about the fact that you're always going to be paying 100% interest when you're renting a property. And when I say that, I mean that because everyone's argument is always, well, the interest rates are so high right now and they're like 6% or 7%. And I'm like, okay, but you're paying interest on your loan, which, by the way, you can refinance at any time. And so if the rates drop, you can refinance your loan. But also, when you're paying your rent every month and waiting till these rates drop, you're throwing that money away to your landlord and paying his mortgage or her mortgage, right? Like, that is exactly what's happening. So the argument of, well, the interest rates are so high, it's like, I don't understand. And I do get that interest rates are higher than they were during COVID. But then I encourage people to look at the broader history of interest rates. I mean, in the 90s and before and after, we were seeing rates in the teens. These rates that we have right now are not that astronomically high. They're just higher than when we were having a pandemic and they were in the twos. Like, yes, that is high in comparison. I had to snatch the kitty again because he jumped on my screen and knocked it over. He's a real menace right now, historically. And I just want people to know that and to look at the bigger picture of where your money's going every month and what you're contributing to, because even if you're paying however much in interest, you're still contributing to equity, and you can use that equity and you can sell your house and get that money back. So that's my 2 cents on if home buying is overrated. And I think that, you can do what's best for you with the goal of home buying in the end. I think that it's always kind of should be the goal. You always kind of want to own the home. At least I would want to. But again, it's a personal preference. So it's not for me to decide. Another really highly requested topic. And I kind of feel like I have to talk about it because January 19th, I think, is the day that TikTok is scheduled to be banned. Scheduled. And I am going to be so honest, I'm not following the case. I know it has to do with the fact that they want TikTok to be sold to a United States company. And if it's not, then they're going to ban it in the United States. I kind of am on this wavelength of I'll believe it when I see it, just because of the fact that, one, I know it contributes so much to the economy in the United States because of the TikTok shop, and even just how much consumerism is generated on that app. And then 2, well, actually, I think I have 3 points. 2, I heard Donald Trump say something about how he kind of wants to save it because of his campaign and how it helped him. I don't know. Just something to add. And then the third thing that I was going to say is that they've said this so many times and it has not happened. I kicked the cat out. He did it again and I wasn't having it. So my point being is that this has been threatened a few times and it never happened. And so I just kind of feel I don't know. I'm not really one way or the other convinced it's going to happen or not happen. So we'll just see. But that being said, I did want to put it in front of at least a few thousand of you guys that if TikTok gets banned, I'm not going anywhere in terms of posting. It's not like I'm going to fall off the face of the earth, but you guys can find me pretty much on any other form of social media. As far as Instagram, I have 2 accounts, Mackenzie __ Davis and Mackenzie Davis _ Realtor. Obviously the Realtor one is where I post my real estate content. And then the Mackenzie Davis one is just my personal. So you can feel free to follow me there. It's just content of what I do on the day to day. I have a YouTube, which is Mackenzie Davis Realtor as well. And that's where, if you are watching the podcast, that's where you're watching it right now. But that is, I believe, where the main avenue of posting will probably be, I think, unless I focus on Reels on Instagram. It's either going to be YouTube or Reels, I think, unless they come up with some new app or something. And then if there is some new app, then I'll post my username for it on Instagram. And I'll put it in the podcast. So just, check the links if you're looking for me if TikTok does get banned, is all I'm trying to say. And if you want my opinion on whether or not it's going to happen, I kind of like I said, I'm neutral. I don't really know one way or the other, but if I had to say, I really honestly don't think it's going to happen. I think it makes them too much money, the big businesses and stuff. And I think that they're going to try to save it and it will be saved at the last minute. I don't know. We'll see. we'll see. I would hate to lose my community that I've built over the past 4 years, but obviously I know that it can be built again. So anyway, that's the other mini topic that we were going to talk about today. And I know that I said I was going to do 3 mini podcast topics, but I think I'm just going to pause it there because the other ones that I have, as I was thinking about what I was going to say, I think I could actually turn into more longer form, just full podcast episodes later on. And so I don't want to like limit what I have to say or the information just to kind of cram it into one small segment. So I'm going to end that there, but let's see if we have any questions on the form this week. Okay, so there's one question this week and someone said, I was thinking of just being a real estate agent and not joining the NAR to become a realtor. In Maryland, do I need to join the NAR to access the MLS or anything super important? I don't want to pay the extra fees, but I don't know what I would be missing out on. Thank you. So as a realtor in Maryland, you are required to be a member of NAR. You're also required to be a member of MAR, which is the Maryland Association of Realtors. So I want to say that the fee for NAR is like $145 or something like that a year. And then Mars separate. Yeah, it's honestly like I always recommend saving $2,000 to $3,000 for the association fees because they're all separately expensive on their own, but you're gonna have to pay them all like at the same time when you choose to get your license. And so it would suck to take your classes, pass your test, and then not be able to practice just because you can't pay the fees. So that's kind of always why I suggest doing that. But yeah, good question. Anyways, as I said, it's New Year's Eve. So if you guys are celebrating or have celebrated, because you guys will be seeing this on Friday, I hope you guys had a really good time. Happy 2025. I mean, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't even start the episode with that. So exciting. I hope you guys have such a good year. I hope you've had a good start to your year so far and just an exciting time. I love y'all. Have a good one. Bye.